What's going on?
Hank's taking the racist test.
Oh, wow. Is he a racist?
We don't know yet.
I'm trying to concentrate.
King of the Hill is top-tier television. One of the best animated series to ever air, King of the Hill ended over a decade ago, but remains beloved and relevant to this day. King of the Hill was about America's favorite redneck, Hank Hill. Sorry, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
A guy with no butt, an affinity for propane and propane accessories, and a core set of traditional American values. Of course, there's Hank's self-absorbed but lovable wife Peggy, his slightly dim-witted niece Luann, and his, out there son Bobby Hill.
Ah, dang it, Bobby. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Hank is about as Republican as it gets, obsessed with Ronald Reagan to the point of forcing Bobby to write a report on Reagan for a school paper, and the theme of King of the Hill is seeing conservative, old-school Hank Hill react to a country that is becoming less and less conservative by the minute, and seeing how he responds to things that aren't as traditional as he's used to. Watching Hank be put in these uncomfortable situations is where King of the Hill's humor mostly stems from, whether it be watching him react to the modern music of the 90s like boy bands, or watching him attempt yoga for the first time. Hank is usually a fish out of water that ends up opening his mind up and adjusting to the changes around him. But one thing I always found interesting was the way racism was addressed in King of the Hill. Obviously, with Hank being conservative, there's a number of ways it could go. But King of the Hill did a great job of making Hank Hill a character that could be loved by all people, no matter your political affiliation or race. Underneath it all, there's no doubt that Hank Hill is a solid human being who stands on his values and morals of integrity and respect first and foremost. Throughout the series, it's made very clear that Hank Hill is 100% not racist. There's a few episodes and moments that I think are good examples of King of the Hill's satire on race relations in America, and I kinda just wanted to break down a couple. My favorite episode that addresses this is Season 7 episode, Racist Dog. In the episode, the Hill family gets a visit from a repairman played by the late great comedy legend, Chicago's very own Bernie Mac.
Miss you, Bernie.
The repairman, Mac, is a black man, and the Hill's dog Ladybird attacks him. Mac calls Ladybird racist, and Hank is beyond insulted by the accusation. Hank declares that racism is not tolerated in the Hill household. Hank is just flustered at the idea of his dog being racist, so he takes Ladybird to a dog obedience trainer, and the trainer is like, "Yeah, dog, your dog's pretty racist." But even worse, the trainer tells Hank that the behavior came from Hank. So now Hank is being accused of being racist himself. Hank's coworker Roger is like, "Here, take this online test my cousin made to prove you're not racist," which is just hilarious, by the way. But the instructions confuse Hank and he fails the test. Word gets back to Hank's church that he's, racist, and they single him out to church.
Unfortunately, there are some people in the world who would prefer to keep white crayons in their own backs, separate from the other crayons.
And then form a prayer circle in his front yard to pray for him to stop being racist. Hank also gets 2 dolls, one white one and one black one, to use to practice interacting with. Ladybird can tell the dog is stressing him out, so she takes the black doll and attacks it, chews it up, and spits it out right in front of the prayer circle. So Hank is just out here looking like a member of the Klan. And I'm not talking about the Wu-Tang Clan. But in the end, a white repairman is at the Hill house and Ladybird begins attacking him, which leads to Hank hilariously ignoring the attack because he's overjoyed to realize Ladybird doesn't hate black people, she hates repairmen because they stress out Hank, and Ladybird doesn't like anybody or anything that stresses out Hank.
Ladybird's biting a white guy. A white guy, Peggy.
Hank is having the happiest moment of his life, realizing he's not racist. Him and Peggy hug and celebrate, all while the poor repairman is being viciously attacked in the background. Yo, this show is too good sometimes. So the episode does a perfect job of making Hank's views on race perfectly clear. He's not racist, and the idea of even being considered racist is enough for him to have an all-out crisis. But one line that does stick out to me in this episode is Peggy saying,
Well, I'll tell you right now, we cannot have that dog running amok, biting every black person she sees. It makes us look like ignorant rednecks. Oh, and it's bad for black people, too.
Now, aside from this line being hilarious, it pretty much sums up a lot of performance activism, with Peggy clearly caring more about not looking racist and caring about her reputation, more with the idea of racism actually affecting black people being an afterthought. Perfect satire of performance activism. It was a tad frustrating watching the characters turn on Hank in this episode, Peggy included. It almost reminded me of the Hey Arnold episode. Arnold portrays Iggy in that sense, but aside from that, it was a real solid episode, and again, I thought it did a great job of addressing race relations in the context of the show. But there's also the relationship between the Hills and their neighbor Khan and his family. In episode 7 of season 1, Hank and his buddy see Khan moving in next door along with his daughter Connie and his wife Meen. It would appear that these are the first non-white people to move into the neighborhood, if the shock on Hank and his friends' faces are any indication. Hank wonders if they're Chinese or Japanese. Khan explains that they are Laotian American, to which Hank responds by asking again if they are Chinese or Japanese. Hank Hill's ignorance of Laotian history combined with his white suburban American experience allows him to believe there are only two Asian ethnicities, Chinese and Japanese. Let's just be honest here for a second, this isn't super uncommon. A moment like this satirizes the average American's ignorance to different cultures and ethnicities, and also puts a mirror on a lot of the viewers and allows us to reflect on if we would find ourselves being ignorant in this same situation. While I certainly know a lot more Asian ethnicities than those two, I for one have never heard of Laotians until seeing this episode, just being honest here. But while I don't believe it's our job to know everything, I do believe it's our job to educate ourselves when necessary on different ethnicities and backgrounds. Later on, Hank's wife Peggy also shows her ignorance with the new neighbors. She cooks them Chinese food, not realizing China is the oppressor of Laos. Welcomes them to the United States, despite the fact that they've been Americans living in California for the last 20 years. Peggy here is interesting, because it was very kind of her to invite the new neighbors over for dinner. This clearly shows that there's no hate for different groups of people from Peggy or the Hill family, but her food choice and comments show that while she meant well, she's simply just ignorant about a lot of things. A lot of shows address racism by making blatantly racist characters for us to hate, but King of the Hill addressed racism on a much broader scale with a lot more nuance, while other shows give us characters that are so overtly racist, the viewer can comfortably separate ourselves from them and feel good about ourselves. But King of the Hill presents characters that we can't help but feel love and attachment to, and us seeing them deal with internalized racism and ignorance forces the viewer to look in the mirror ourselves and figure out what we can improve on to be better people. These characters aren't bad people by any means, which I think also was an important message for us to have, that people being ignorant or uninformed doesn't make them bad people automatically. We love these characters because we know at their core they're good, kind-hearted people, which is how I believe we should view each other in the real world as well. Hopefully you already do. But there are very deep-rooted systematic issues that live within all of us that do need to be addressed, and I think King of the Hill did a fantastic job of addressing these issues while also just being downright hilarious. I put it up there with the Boondocks as my favorite satirical cartoons. Side note, can you imagine a 20-minute conversation between Huey Freeman and Dale Gribble? I think they might solve every single problem the world has in 20 minutes. Do you think King of the Hill did a good job of addressing race? Sound off in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to Toon Fridge for more cartoon content. Thanks for watching, guys. Hello, person of YouTube. My name is D, and I make videos about cartoons. I genuinely love making videos, and I genuinely love cartoons, so I put a lot of time and effort into making videos about cartoons. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy these videos as much as I enjoy waffles. And if you're not subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you subscribed and turned on those notifications. And if you are subscribed, thank you. I'm grateful for you. And I hope you drink a lot of water today. Thank you.